Hi, this is Ranger Jonah McDonald with DeKalb County. And today, even though we're social distancing and still sheltering at home, I'm out here in the green space near my house and thought I'd take a little walk and show you a little bit of what's around here. Particularly today, I'd like to focus on the sound that you can probably hear behind me. Can you tell what that is? Yeah, it's running water. We live in the Piedmont region, which means that we have rolling hills, oftentimes rocky soils, and lots of creeks. Well, here in Atlanta, some of our creeks have been put into culverts, into pipes flowing below the ground. But in DeKalb County, many of our creeks are flowing as they would naturally, oftentimes through our backyards. And here, right behind a few houses in my neighborhood, is a small tributary creek. I live very close to the Continental Divide. And did you know that we have a Continental Divide that goes right here through the middle of Atlanta? In fact, DeKalb County is almost cut in half by what's called the Eastern Subcontinental Divide. Well, what does that mean? Well, what it means is there's a high point, which you usually think of as a mountain range. But as you get closer to the coast, that divide ends up just becoming a high point. Well, that high point runs right through Atlanta. In fact, Atlanta was placed here because it was a great place to build a railroad track. You don't want a railroad track dipping down through every valley because you have to build bridges or tunnels. Instead, you want to build that railroad track on the highest point possible, and the highest point was right through what is now Atlanta. So as a result, DeKalb Avenue is probably the easiest location that you can visit that is on the Eastern Subcontinental Divide. And coming off that divide, you have these small tributary creeks that form rivers and eventually reach the ocean or the Gulf of Mexico from there. So here in my little green space, and we'll walk through just a little bit, in my little green space, I have one of these tributaries. I live just south of the Eastern Subcontinental Divide, which means the creek near my house is eventually going to flow into the South River, which eventually becomes the Ocmulgee River and flows into the Atlantic Ocean. If you live north of the Subcontinental Divide, the creek near your house will likely flow into the Chattahoochee River and then to the Gulf of Mexico. So let's look a little closer at these creeks and see what we see. The first thing I notice is that the water right now is crystal clear, but the stream banks are high and very eroded. The reason for this is that we haven't had rain in a couple days and the water's flowing low and clear. After a rain, so much water comes off of the roads and off our parking lots and off our the roofs of our houses, that these creeks rise up by feet during a rainstorm, and the water starts flowing so fast that there's a whole ton of erosion. But right now, it's a beautiful, clear stream bed. Let's see. We'll walk just a ways further down here, and then let's go flip over a rock and see what we can find. Sometimes in this creek we have small animals such as salamanders, and I think in one of my last videos I found one. Well, let's see what we can find if we flip over this rock. No animal life that I can see. But there's a beautiful piece of rock filled with some sparkling mica. We'll try one more and then say goodbye for the day. Okay, let me see if I can hop over without getting my feet wet. There we are. And we have another nice flat rock that might be good habitat. There's a salamander. Look at that, that's good news. Let's see if I can pick him up real quick for you. This is his habitat, so it's gonna be hard for me to catch him. Whoop. Whoop. Well, I had him in my hand for a second and then he ran off. But I don't need to bother him anymore. But this is one of the things that you can do in whatever the creek is near your house is flip over a rock and see what you find. This is Ranger Jonah talking about DeKalb County watersheds, signing off.